Hey guys, welcome on into my version of Avengers the Kang Dynasty. I'm essentially going to be pre-writing and predicting key events and plot points that may occur in the film. A quick few things to mention is that I wrote this in a way that recasts Jonathan Majors as Kang the Conqueror, but it also works with him. So it can work with him or without him depending on the trial of the case. Another thing is that Loki Season 2 isn't fully out yet, or I actually wrote this before Loki Season 2 even released. So if something retcons something in the script, I apologize. Obviously this isn't going to Marvel Studios directly, but if you're wondering why did Victor Timely blah 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 not appear in this? I didn't even write Victor Timely in this, I'm going to say that right now. I really focused on 4 Kangs and not the Kang Dynasty itself. That could be more for Secret Wars, and I also wrote this in a way that leads into Secret Wars. So if you're wondering, oh, why wasn't this character featured? Then they'll probably appear in Secret Wars, most likely, in my version of Secret Wars, which is something later down the line. So yep, let's get into it. The Marvel Studios intro plays. We open up to Wong telling Sam Wilson's Captain America, Shuri, and Shang-Chi about a dream he had. He says in his dream, a man named Kang the Conqueror killed them and all their friends. Sam questions it because it's simply a dream, but Wong tells Sam that dreams are different universes. Kang the Conqueror enters and says the one thing he loves about time travel is that he's always on time. He smirks and immediately blasts Wong. Shang-Chi uses his rings to constrain him, but Kang deflects it, hitting Shuri and killing her in the process. Kang blasts Shang-Chi into a building, also killing him. Sam shoots Red Wing at Kang, but he crushes it. Sam stands his ground, but he ultimately falls. All the heroes are dead. Kang stands still because he senses something. He picks up Cap's shield and quickly chucks it behind him with all his force. TVA Loki enters and summons a TVA door which deflects the shield. Loki and Kang then begin to fight. Kang says he's killed more variants of Loki than anyone else in the multiverse. Loki smiles and says, "You didn't kill all of them." Sylvie enters and stabs Kang right in the chest. Kang immediately begins to heal himself, but Loki summons a TVA door and blasts Kang with his green projectiles right through it. Loki tells Sylvie that was some pretty badass timing. The two hug, but Sylvie says that they can't keep running from him. Loki looks at the deceased Avengers, and the words Earth 838 appear on screen. Loki says let's go get that son of a bitch. As the two Lokis walk through the TVA door Kang was shot through. The Avengers logo then appears. We cut to Earth 616 and see Sam and Bucky having dinner at a cafe. Bucky apologizes to Sam about not helping him fight the Red Hulk. Sam says it's okay and that maybe next time the actual Hulk will go insane. Then he can help him then. Bucky laughs and says that he was busy fighting a superhuman named the Sentry, who is basically Thor on drugs. Bucky also tells Sam that he's dating Yelena Belova. This is basically what would happen in Captain America New World Order and Thunderbolts. I'm kind of predicting what would happen and implementing it into this script. Sam says he's happy for him and that Steve would have been proud of him. Their conversation is interrupted when Kang enters Earth 616 by the TVA door he was thrown into. Kang is hurt pretty bad, and he grunts as he puts his hand on his wound. Sam and Bucky are confused as to what just happened. Sam, who doesn't know who he is, asks Kang if he needs some help. Kang pushes him away and tells him to stay out of his way. Sam and Bucky follow Kang out of the cafe and ask him what his problem is. Kang blows up the whole cafe as he flies away. Kang flies to space and uses Pym particles to summon his ship. Sam suits up and attempts to follow him. Kang's ship is summoned and it's a giant sword similar to his one in the comics. Sam was able to breathe in space using new technology Shuri previously gave him. Kang enters his ship and immediately begins to heal his wound. He yells at his Kang variants working on his ship to quickly leave this universe. A Kang variant tells the main Kang that it's too late. Kang looks through the window and sees an Egyptian type of spaceship. Kang tells his variants to blow it up. We see Rama Tut, Immortus, and Scarlet Centurion, as well as some Kang robots on the Egyptian ship. Immortus says Kang's an idiot for coming to the main timeline. Kang flies out of his ship and begins to eliminate a bunch of Kang robots. Scarlet Centurion tells the other Kangs that he'll deal with him. Scarlet Centurion and Kang begin to have a huge battle. Scarlet Centurion has powers similar to Iron Man. We cut back to Sam discovering his way through Kang's ship. He realizes that he can't fight this by himself, and he begins to contact Carol Danvers. She doesn't pick up, and Sam starts to get worried. He fights a couple of weaker Kang variants as he discovers his way through Kang's ship. A huge space battle erupts. Kang and Scarlet Centurion continue to blast each other. Scarlet Centurion asks Kang where the Bangle is at. Kang said he never found a universe that has it. Scarlet Centurion says he's a liar. Centurion defeats Kang and takes him to the Egyptian ship. Some Kang robots constrain Kang and attempt to look in his mind to see where the Bangle is at. Immortus tells the Kang bots to eliminate the rest of Kang's army. Kang's army begins to fall, but a ship enters, and out flies Captain Marvel. She blows up half of the Egyptian ship and goes ham on all of the Kangs. Sam flies out and begins to fight with her. We then see that Nick Fury is in command of the ship that flew in. He tells the Skrulls to take down both of the enemy ships. Carol asks Sam who this Kang guy is. Sam says he has no clue. More Kang bots enter the battle and begin to take down Nick's ship. Nick puts everything he has into keeping the ship under control, but it's too late. Fury takes one last breath and says "Mother" as he flies the ship straight into Kang's ship, blowing both ships up in the process. This collision kills Nick and everyone else on board. Carol is devastated and puts everything she has into taking down the Egyptian ship. The ship blasts Carol right in the chest and she passes out. Sam dives down and picks her up. He tells Carol to wake up, but she doesn't say anything. Sam picks her up and flies towards Earth. Ramatut says they overestimated 616 and that they're not as powerful as previously thought. Immortus says if they can kill Ant-Man and the Wasp, then they finally have a chance of ending Earth 616. The Kangs talk about how they're scared of Ant-Man and the Wasp for killing a Kang variant all by themselves. Scarlet Centurion says he wants to look in Kang's mind to see if he found the Bangle. The Kangs use technology to look inside his mind. And we cut to Kang's origin story. The words Earth 2099 appear on screen. We open up to Nathaniel Richards, aka Kang, winning a Nobel Prize for his multiversal engine core. He presents it to a large crowd of people, and his mother and wife are right by his side. He gives a speech and everyone is very impressed. Superior Iron Man enters and tells Kang to shut it down before it causes an incursion. Kang says it's not capable of that and that his math is 100% right. Superior Iron Man yells at him to shut it off. Kang tells him to leave. Superior Iron Man blasts the multiversal engine core and it starts to rupture. The core opens and people are being thrown through it. Kang tries to find the remote in order to shut it down, but he can't find it. Superior Iron Man tries to contain it but fails. Kang's mother tries to latch onto something. Kang quickly takes her hand, but it's not enough. His mom says she knows he will make things right, and she is sucked right into the portal. Kang finally manages to shut it down, and Superior Iron Man's armor is damaged. He flies away and tells Kang that he's coming back to kill him. We then cut to Kang building armor for himself and powers in order to protect his family. Ravonna enters the room, his wife, and tells Kang that they're officially calling for his arrest. Kang shows her his new armor and superhuman abilities that he was able to create. Ravonna says that she believes in him and that it wasn't his fault. The two hug but are interrupted as Superior Iron Man blasts Kang. Kang and Superior Iron Man have a huge battle. Kang eventually opens his multiversal engine core up and pushes Superior Iron Man right through it. Kang fails to shut the portal down and Ravonna flies through the portal. Kang is disappointed in himself and is very angry. He decides to jump through the portal to try to find her. He travels through different universes until he eventually ends up in Earth 616 in the year 2025. He uses his technology to find a way home. He eventually comes across something called Eternity. Eternity can grant one person anything they wish for. Kang believes he can use Eternity to bring his family back. Kang teleports to Eternity and sees that it's already been used. Kang is annoyed. Eternity is a secret in the multiverse and not something any mortal can use. He continues to fix his suit. He has no luck until he forgets that he has another multiversal engine core, and it's a miniature version in his pocket, and he proceeds to enlarge in it. Utu the Watcher enters and asks him how he managed to shrink his engine core. Kang laughs and says he killed the Ant-Man of his world in order to get the technology. The Watcher calls him pathetic and that his mom thought the world of him. Kang goes on a long rampage about how superheroes have no place in this world. They cause more chaos than they prevent, and that a superhero would sacrifice you for the world, but a villain would sacrifice everything just for you. The Watcher says that maybe he's right, but morally it's wrong. Kang says that morals are excuses for egotistical behavior. He blasts the Watcher across the Eternity Gate, and he beats the hell out of him. The Watcher puts up a good fight, and he says he can't open Eternity, and that he has no way home. Kang looks at the Asgardian marks on the floor, and he immediately figures out that Thor must have opened Eternity. Kang snaps the Watcher's neck and teleports back to Earth. We see Thor, Love, Valkyrie, and Korg having dinner, laughing and enjoying each other's company. Kang hesitates at fighting the family at first. He has a flashback to a nice memory of him and his family all opening presents on his birthday. They are in a hospital with his sick child. All is going well until Ravonna brings out a cake. Kang starts to get angry and tells Ravonna that he's been married to him for 7 years and that she should know that he's allergic to flour. Ravonna says she's sorry, and Kang slams the door on his family. Thor eventually sees Kang and asks if he can help him. Kang asks if the little girl over there is his daughter. Thor smiles and says yes. Kang says he has a daughter too. Thor says one of these days he wants to have a big father barbecue cookout and that Kang's welcome to join. Kang cuts to the cheese and says he needs his axe and that he won't cause them any harm if he simply hands it over. Thor asks what he needs it for. Kang says he needs to open Eternity so that he can bring his family back. Thor says yes, but tells Kang that Eternity has already been used. Kang says that's no problem and he opens a portal back to Eternity. Thor hesitates to follow Kang, but he does so anyways. He tells Love that he'll be right back. Kang begins to manipulate time from before Eternity was used. It takes a little bit, and Kang and Thor are tortured in the process by time. Eventually, Kang controls it, and he manages to open Eternity back up. Thor smiles and says that he's glad it worked. Kang then proceeds to open it. He tells it to bring his family back, his universe's version of his family back. Eternity grants it to him. Kang hugs his family and apologizes for any hurt he's ever caused them. Kang's daughter says, "But Daddy, you didn't do anything wrong." Kang smiles and starts to get teary. Kang thanks Thor and opens a portal back to Asgard. Thor goes back to his home and sees that no one's there. He goes around Asgard asking civilians if he knows where Love is. They all say no. Thor finds Matt Damon's character from Asgardian Civilian. This is who Matt Damon is. And he asks Matt Damon where Love and Valkyrie are. Matt Damon says he's never heard of Love and that the girl he loved played him. Thor says no, not that kind of love. I'm talking about the little girl I've been raising for the last year. Matt says he has no idea what he's talking about, but tells Thor that Valkyrie is in her quarters. Thor flies across New Asgard and eventually finds Valkyrie. Thor asks her where his daughter Love is at. She says that he didn't even know he had a daughter. Thor's eyes begin to spark with lightning. He clenches his fist and simply says, "Kang." We cut back to modern times, and all the other Kangs are talking about what they had just witnessed in the flashbacks. Rama-Tut asks what happened, and Mortis explains that Kang is so smart he managed to find a way to reconfigure parts of the sacred timeline. He erased the canon event of Thor fighting Gore the God Butcherer and the rest of the events leading up to that like they never happened. Scarlet Centurion says this is frightening and everything, but they never found the location of the Bangle. Immortus suggests that maybe Kang truly doesn't know where it's at. A Kang robot tells the Kangs that the ship's multiversal engine core is fixed and that they're free to leave. Immortus says no, leaving this universe is not necessary, and that it's time to permanently end it. We then cut back to Earth and see Captain Marvel woken up but wounded pretty bad. Sam took her to the Sanctum Sanctorum to tell Doctor Strange about what they witnessed. Carol attempts to fly and go back to space to finish the fight, but she falls on the ground. Bucky and Wong help her back up and tell her to stay with them. Sam asks where Doctor Strange is at. Wong says he hasn't seen Strange in months and that he's probably dead. American Chavez, who is also with them, says she can continue to go through universes looking for Strange, while the rest of them fight the Kangs. Wong doesn't like the idea of her being alone in the multiverse. TVA, Loki, and Sylvie then enter the sanctum and tell them about Kang. Sam doesn't take Loki seriously, considering he blew up half in New York a while back. Loki explains that this wasn't him and that he's from a separate universe. Sam says whatever and that they're going to need all the help they can get. Wong asks them what they all know about Kang. Sylvie says there are countless different versions of him and that they all have different motivations, but the one thing they all have in common is war. The Egyptian version of Kang wants to restore the world back to its roots, and Immortus and Scarlet Centurion simply want to rule everything. Sam asks if they're more powerful than Thanos. Loki says yes, 100 times more. The heroes exit the sanctum and we see Rama-Tut and Scarlet Centurion blowing stuff up. Rama-Tut and Scarlet Centurion talk and begin to figure out that they can trigger thousands of incursions using the main universe, 616. Scarlet Centurion tells Rama-Tut to go to London and start triggering incursions from there. Rama-Tut teleports away, and Scarlet Centurion confronts the Avengers. Sam tells him that they're making a huge mistake. Centurion taunts them and says they don't even have an Iron Man, Wolverine, or a Hulk to save them. Captain Marvel chimes in and says, "We have a Hulk." Scarlet Centurion laughs and says someone else took care of that problem. The Avengers look puzzled as to what he means by that. Wong tells Chavez to locate any hero she can find. Chavez nods her head as she makes a portal and leaves through it. Sam, Wong, Carol, Loki, Sylvie, and Bucky all begin to fight Centurion. It's a tough battle and buildings begin to blow up in the process. We cut back to Immortus, who takes the Egyptian ship to San Francisco. We see Scott Lang sleeping and all of a sudden he hears a huge explosion. Scott suits up and looks around his house to find Cassie. Cassie says she's alright. Scott tells her to call Hope while he investigates the explosion. Scott sees in the distance that the famous Golden Gate Bridge is split in half. Ant-Man shrinkens, but Immortus grabs him right in the throat before he can fully shrinken. "How did you kill him?" Immortus asks. Scott says he didn't kill anyone, as his face looks puzzled. "How did you kill Kang?" Scott is confused. "Wait, I did kill him. I killed Kang. He has to be dead. Who are you?" Right before Immortus answers his question, Cassie, Wasp, and Janet Van Dyne enter. "I am Kang, and I will burn you out of time," Immortus says. "Yep, I've heard that one before," Scott mentions, as he turns giant and grabs Immortus, chucking him in the air. Scott shrinkens back to regular size and he looks at Janet. "How is he back?" Scott says. Janet says she has no clue. Hope tells her to not hide anything else from them. Janet says she seriously has no idea, although their Kang always talked about other versions of him exiling him. Cassie comes to the conclusion that there's different variants of Kang. Immortus flies back and summons a bunch of Kang robots. The Ant family begins to fight them. The Kang robots manage to defeat them, and Janet is injured. Immortus grins while looking at the fallen family. He pulls out a sword and attempts to kill Janet, but Wasp gets back up and blasts him. The two fight, and Immortus eventually stabs her. Scott, who is also injured bad from the robots, looks at Hope. "No, please, please, take me instead." Cassie screams and says, "No!" Scott tells her to get out of here. Immortus says he's not going to kill Scott, but he's going to let him watch all his family die. Scott asks Immortus why he's mad at them for killing Kang, who they exiled in the quantum realm. Immortus says that this is nothing personal and that he's thankful for them killing Kang, although them killing Kang makes them a threat to the Kang dynasty. He will give the Ant family quick and non-painful deaths and let Scott live in the process. Scott spits in his face and punches him straight in the chest. Ant-Man and Cassie proceed to fight Immortus, but they lose. Ant-Man is about to be killed until Shang-Chi enters and goes absolutely ham on Immortus. Shang-Chi beats him using the 10 rings. Immortus falls to the ground in defeat. He quickly teleports away before he can be killed. Scott thanks him and looks at Hope, who is in complete and utter pain. American Chavez enters and tells them that they need to come with her so they can stop another Kang. Scott tells Cassie to get Janet and Hope to a hospital, ASAP. Scott thinks about staying with his family, but he knows what's at stake. Hope tells Scott to find the Avengers and put an end to Kang's schemes. Cassie hugs her dad and tells him to be safe. Ant-Man and Shang-Chi joke about how they live in the same city and never met or fought together till now. Ant-Man and Shang-Chi walk through the portal and see Centurion fighting the Avengers. Kate Bishop, Miss Marvel, Daredevil, Yelena Belova are also have seen to join the fight. Scarlet Centurion sees Ant-Man and says to himself, "Immortus, you pathetic old man." Whatever, the more the merrier. Immortus tells Centurion that he's hurt and that Kang is gone. Centurion is frightened and asks where Kang is at. Immortus says he escaped while he was fighting Ant-Man. Centurion teleports away as the Kang robots follow him. Sam thanks Scott and Shang-Chi for coming. Scott says he's sorry he didn't warn them about Kang. Everyone is shocked. None of them realize that he fought him. "Why the hell didn't you tell us?" Sam says. Dang it, I just ratted out myself. But to be fair, it's not like we have a group chat where we send all the latest villains we fought to each other, Scott says. There's no need to point fingers. There's only one way all this ends, and blaming isn't going to help, Daredevil says. Carol chimes in and says they need ideas on how to stop him, because we can't fight Kang with batons and bullets. Wow, why are you looking at me, Yelena says. Carol smirks and says it's nothing personal. Yelena smiles back. Loki says that if they can trap Kang in a place called the Void and prune it using TVA technology, then Kang can be killed, and everything will be as it was. The only problem is getting Kang trapped in the Void. Scott tells Loki to speak English. Basically, we need to trap Kang in another dimension and blow it up, Loki says. It could work. Now what the hell are they doing up there, as Wong looks at the giant Egyptian ship. We then cut to Scarlet Centurion trying to locate Kang. He's pissed at Immortus for not looking over Kang and failing to kill Ant-Man. Immortus tells him to back off and that he wasn't able to kill an Avenger himself. Scarlet Centurion gets angry. He picks up Immortus' sword and stabs him. Immortus dies. Kang comes out of a shadow wearing new armor. Scarlet Centurion tells Kang that they can team up and rule everything. Kang laughs and says he doesn't want to rule the multiverse or destroy it. He wants to perfect it and simply live in a safe society with no superheroes. Scarlet Centurion tells him not to forget what he did to him. Kang screams and says he's going to make Centurion get tortured for millennials. Scarlet Centurion disables Kang's suit and chokes him. He then throws him onto an interrogation constraint and makes him watch something he never wanted to see again. Centurion asks Kang what happened to his family after they were brought back. Kang screams and says no and to just kill him already. We then see a flashback to Kang living with his family in a cave. Kang's daughter says she's scared and that she wants to live in a normal house like they used to. Kang says some very dangerous people are after them and that they have to stay away for a while. Scarlet Centurion blows up the cave and kills Kang's family. Kang begs to know why he's doing this to him. Centurion says that his technology shows that Kang's the cause of his death. Kang says he has no reason to kill another version of himself, and that the technology must have gotten mixed up with a different variant. Centurion says that his technology never lies. Kang and Centurion fight, but Kang teleports away, attempting to escape him. Centurion laughs and calls him pathetic. Kang teleports back to the timeline him and his family were hiding in, and becomes very angry once he sees his family's dead bodies. We then see him going to different universes, using eternity to bring his family back to life. But Centurion always manages to catch up to him, and he kills his family once again. We cut back to modern times, and Centurion says that maybe his technology was wrong, but seeing Kang suffer was fun. Centurion goes to kill him, but is stopped by an orange energy projectile. Doctor Strange and Clea enter and begin to fight Centurion. Centurion puts everything he has into fighting them, but he ultimately loses. Strange lets Kang out of the constraints and puts Centurion in them instead. I got your message and I agree to your terms, Strange says. Kang says thank you and shocks Centurion to death using the constraints, and it kills him. Strange says that was a little excessive. Kang asks him if he can count on him as an ally. Strange says yes. Clea states it's best to just kill him. Strange says that Kang's too powerful for them and that it's best to just accept their fate. Clea asks him what he wants exactly. Kang says he wants a war without superheroes. Clea says absolutely not and that this is just one of his tricks. Strange says they don't have an option and that Kang's path is the only way. If they try to fight Kang, then the whole world will suffer that consequence. Kang says they better make a decision soon before things get ugly. Strange looks at a monitor and sees that Rama Tut is headed towards London. Clea asks him why they are going there. Kang says Rama-Tut will put the world back to its Egyptian roots. Kang says they'll help him fight Rama-Tut, but after everything, he's going to perfect the world as he chooses. Strange just nods his head, and Clea gives him a dirty look. We then cut to Peter Parker, who is touring London with Gwen Stacy. Peter and Gwen are there for an MIT school trip. Peter asks Gwen if she wants to split up from the rest of the group and go to a museum. Gwen says yes, and the two proceed to have sort of a date at the museum. Their guide during the tour is Stephen Grant. Peter is really impressed by Stephen's knowledge, and he even gives him a nice tip on his way out. Stephen smiles, as no one ever respects him that way. Peter and Gwen then decide to meet up back with their college friends. All is great until out of nowhere, Peter's spider sense starts to go crazy. Riri Williams, who is also there with the school trip, asks if Peter's okay. The two look up and see a pyramid rising from the sky, and floating above it is no other than Rama-Tut. Peter gets Gwen to safety and tells her that he has to go. Gwen is confused, and Peter tells her that he's really sorry. Peter suits up and swings directly towards Rama-Tut. Spidey, being his normal goofy self, tells Rama-Tut that there's a no-touching policy for special ancient artifacts. Rama-Tut creates a sand tornado and pushes it towards Peter. Ugh, I hate sand, Peter says. Sandman reference. He swings away from it, and pieces of the pyramid start flying towards him. He shoots his webs at them, picks them up, and swings them right at Rama-Tut. Rama-Tut then summons an Egyptian army to attack Spider-Man. This really feels like Night at the Museum, dude, Spidey says as he stands his ground fighting hundreds of Egyptians. Riri suits up as Ironheart and begins to help Spidey. They both fight off the army pretty well. We then cut back to Stephen Grant, who is watching the battle from a distance. Mark tells Stephen to stay out of it and that it's not their problem. Stephen disagrees and says they need to go help Spider-Man. Mark tells Stephen no, but Stephen eagerly joins the fight. Yo, Mummy Master, on your left, Spidey says as he stops an Egyptian from slicing Moon Knight. Mr. Knight says thanks, and then the three heroes battle Rama-Tut's army. Eventually, the fight starts to get out of hand, and the heroes become overwhelmed by the massive army. Spidey's suit becomes damaged, and Ironheart struggles to do any damage against Rama-Tut. Rama-Tut still floats in the air, trying to trigger the incursion, and doesn't come down to fight. Moon Knight tells Spidey to call the Avengers. Spidey says that he doesn't have any way to contact them. All the mummies continue to beat the crap out of Spidey and Moon Knight. Thankfully, Thena and Makari enter and begin to join the fight. Spidey says, yes, the Asgardians are here. We're not Asgardian, Thena says. After a while, Rama-Tut finally comes down to fight the heroes. A big showdown is about to happen until Kang enters through his portal, and with him is Doctor Strange and Clea. Strange! Oh, thank God! Wait, please don't tell me this Egyptian guy is from another universe, Spidey says. Strange says he is, and that things are about to get bad. Rama-Tut sees Kang and asks him where Centurion and Immortus are. Kang says that they are dead and that he's teaming up with the Avengers to put an end to him and the Kang dynasty. Rama-Tut laughs as he puts his hand up in the air and begins to change the direction of the sky, similar to what Moon Knight did with Khonshu in his series. Clea asks what he's doing. Strange says that Rama-Tut is triggering an incursion. Kang blasts Rama-Tut, but he stands there unfazed. The sun rises, and we see Kang robots and Egyptian mummies rise from out of the ground. The rest of the Avengers enter via Wong's portal. Rama-Tut looks at the sky and screams, "The only timeline that will exist in the entire multiverse is the world before Christ." We then cut to American Chavez, who is struggling to find different Avengers. She eventually manages to come across Shuri. Chavez says that there's no time to explain and that the world needs the Black Panther. Shuri looks at T'Challa, her nephew, and hesitates to follow Chavez. T'Challa tells her to go save the world like his father would. Shuri hugs him and goes through Chavez's portal. Chavez then drops her off in New York, and the two are confused as to why the Avengers aren't fighting Kang in New York anymore. Chavez calls Wong and asks him where he's at. Wong doesn't pick up, and Shuri laughs because they are Avengers and use an iPhone for communication. Chavez says she doesn't know what to do and that she's failing at the one order she was given. Shuri and Chavez look at a New York billboard and see that the Avengers are fighting in London. Chavez then summons a portal straight to London and proceeds to drop Shuri off. Shuri tells her good luck, but Chavez says she doesn't even know a ton of Avengers or their locations. Shuri quickly sends her aliases of heroes and their locations. Chavez says, "Whoa, how did you do that?" Shuri laughs and says she'll have to show her Wakanda someday. Chavez takes a look and says, who seems the most powerful? Oh, him. He must be a god or something, as she points to Star-Lord's name. Chavez summons a portal, and all she sees is a man. We open up to Star-Lord, aka Peter Quill, and he's confused as to why a giant star portal just entered his living room. Chavez says, "Great, I teleported to some random middle-aged man." Peter gets offended and says he's not even middle-aged, he's below that. The two argue over what is considered middle-aged. Eventually, Chavez says she has to go. Peter asks her why she came to him in the first place. Chavez says she was looking for a man named Star-Lord. Peter says he is Star-Lord and that she got the right house. Chavez says she doesn't believe him and tells him to prove it. Star-Lord then proceeds to whip out his blaster. Really? Your name is Star-Lord and all you have to offer is a couple of blasters? Hey, actually I did have godly space powers, but I lost them when I had to kill my evil dad, Star-Lord says. Okay, I get it. Hurry up and get your blasters or whatever, Chavez says. Peter grins and he goes around the house looking for all his gear. He finally suits up and is ready to fight. Chavez rolls her eyes and asks if he's ready now. Star-Lord says yes. Oh wait, I forgot something. Chavez rolls her eyes again. Peter quickly grabs his AirPods and puts them in his ears. He asks what he's even going up against, but Chavez pushes Star-Lord through the portal and closes it. Star-Lord looks at the chaos that is in front of him. He sees some Avengers fighting Kang robots, Egyptian mummies, and even Rama Tut. He proceeds to ask Siri to play Buddy Holly by Weezer. We see all the Avengers fighting together as a team. Yelena and Bucky share a nice scene, and Daredevil, Spidey, and Moon Knight all enjoy each other's company. We cut back to Sam, who asks Strange why Kang is helping them. Kang says his variants are out of control and that he wants peace just like them. The Avengers are skeptical, but live with it anyways. Echo side languages to everyone that they need a game plan. Ant-Man looks at her and asks if anybody can read her. Kate Bishop reads Echo and tells the Avengers what she said. Sam agrees with what Echo said and tells Yelena, Bucky, Echo, Miss Marvel, Wong, Clea, Athena, Moon Knight, Kate Bishop, Daredevil, and Star-Lord to fight off the Kang robots and mummies. Sam then says that him, Spidey, Strange, Shang-Chi, Shuri, Ant-Man, Captain Marvel, Loki, Sylvie, and Kang will fight Rama Tut. The Avengers take the orders and do what he says. Rama Tut says he's existed for centuries and that he's killed more Avengers total than there are currently existing in the multiverse now. Spidey asks why he's just now attacking them if he's existed for centuries. Loki says that a good variant of Kang, named He Who Remains, trapped all the Kangs and imprisoned them, although they were all unleashed when He Who Remains died. Sylvie's face becomes frightened because she knows she's ultimately responsible for all of this. Kang chimes in and says all was at peace until Sylvie unleashed them. Sylvie tells him to back off and that she didn't know what was at stake. Captain Marvel gets pissed and says maybe they should fight Sylvie instead. Sam says they can't point fingers and that the Kangs are trying to tear them apart. Sam yells Avengers assemble and he charges towards Rama Tut. It's a long fight and many combos are hit in the process, although the Avengers fighting him manage to be defeated. Kang gets back up and decides to fight Rama Tut. The two have an even fight. Kang is about to kill Rama Tut until an axe gets thrown right at Kang. Kang manages to dodge it at the last second and the axe hits Rama Tut in the chest, killing him. Thor is revealed and he immediately throws his axe straight at Kang, which knocks him out in the process. He then picks up Kang and shocks him with the biggest thunderbolt he's ever produced. Kang is barely alive. Kang looks at Thor and says that his daughter was nothing personal and that he didn't know she was going to be a casualty in his plan. Strange, who is still hurt on the ground, tells Thor to stop and that Kang is on their side. Thor said Kang killed his daughter and that no one will get in his way. He goes to strike Kang again, but Kang gets back up and stops Thor's axe using his bare hand. He takes it from Thor and snaps it in half. Kang, with his last might, fights Thor. Kang taunts him and says that he doesn't have his little weapon in order to stop him. Thor says he doesn't need a weapon to kill him, only thunder. The two proceed to have a huge battle. Thor produces so much lightning that the bright blue sky turns dark real quick. After a while, Kang finally pins Thor down on the ground and is about to kill him until Loki enters and blasts Kang with his green projectiles. Kang falls and is defeated. Loki takes a deep breath and looks at Thor in awe. Thor looks at Loki in confusion. Loki tells Thor that he's so glad to see him. Thor, who gets teary, says he knew the sun would shine on them again. They hug and catch up on everything. Kang looks at them and manages to rise once again. He blasts Thor right in the chest. Kang screams and a huge blast erupts from his armor, hurting everyone nearby in the process. Clea says that they had a deal. Kang says he always keeps his promises, but Thor broke that. Kang says he's eliminating superheroes from the timeline permanently. Him and Clea then begin to have a huge battle. Kang opens up different universes to try to trigger incursions, and the two fight in several universes. They even enter the Paint one, which makes things more complicated. Eventually, they end up back in 616, and we see Kang holding Clea by the throat, choking her. He throws her on the ground in front of the remaining Avengers. Clea tries to wake Strange up, who is also hurt on the ground, but he doesn't respond. Kang says that he will kill every superhero the old-fashioned way. All the Avengers stand in front of him. Captain Marvel, Shang-Chi, Black Panther, Spider-Man, Moon Knight, Loki, Sylvie, Wong, Echo, Yelena, Daredevil, Bucky, Athena, Makari, Ironheart, Thor, Kate Bishop, Star-Lord, Sam Wilson's Captain America, and Miss Marvel. All the Avengers take one last stand and fight Kang. Kang blasts Wong. Kate Bishop shoots her arrows at Kang, but he takes her arrows and deflects them right towards Echo, stabbing her. Star-Lord shoots his gun, but Kang enlarges a huge gun from his holster and blasts it right at Star-Lord. Captain America chucks his shield right at Kang, which hits him. Miss Marvel jumps up using her powers and punches Kang straight in the face. Black Panther does some damage along with Athena. Ant-Man turns into Giant Man and kicks Kang straight in the face. Kang then opens up a portal in order to trap Giant Man. Giant Man turns back to regular size and punches Kang straight in the face. Scott then turns tiny, but Kang swats him away before Scott can do any more damage. Daredevil and Spidey then proceed to beat the shit out of Kang, but he simply blasts them away. Shang-Chi goes ham on Kang, but Kang manages to take Shang-Chi's rings and beat the hell out of him with it. Captain Marvel fights Kang once again, but Kang is about to kill her until Yelena shocks the hell out of him with her batons. Yelena smiles at Carol and says, "I thought guns and batons were useless." Carol, who is bloody, smirks, but Kang gets back up right away and blasts them. Thor also gets back up and fights Kang. Kang picks up Thor's broken axe and stabs him with it. Ironheart and Shuri do some damage on Kang, but are blown away with his force fields. Makari uses her speed to fight Kang, and she hits a lot of combos. Kang eventually manipulates time to slow her down, and he blasts his gun at her, killing her. Kang stares at all the Avengers and begins to laugh. All hope is completely lost, as Kang is simply too powerful for them. Kang rises above them and begins to try to trigger an incursion using his technology. Although out of nowhere, he becomes very shocked at something. He looks at Miss Marvel and notices that she had the bangle this entire time. He takes it off of her and straps it to his arm. Kang just became even more powerful than he was previously. A powerless Miss Marvel stands up ready to fight Kang. He chokes her using the bangle and asks her where she found it. Kamala punches him, but he stands there unfazed. Wong opens up a portal and tells her to leave. Kamala says, No, heroes don't run away. Wong tells Spidey to get her out of here. Spidey swings her through the portal right as Wong closes it. Kang throws a dagger at Wong, stabbing him. Kang then begins to manipulate time. He travels back to before Kamala escaped. He then goes through Wong's portal before he closes it. Kang, Spidey, and Miss Marvel are now in New York. Kang then throws a device up in the air. Spidey yells at him and asks him what he just did. Kang says in a moment's time, every single superhero will be wiped from existence except himself. Spidey tells Kang that he's no hero. Spidey tells Kamala to run away and to go find a way to destroy Kang's device while he distracts Kang. But I'm nothing without my powers, or even my suit. It's all torn up, Kamala says. If you're nothing without your suit, then you shouldn't have it, Spidey says. Kamala's confused as to what he means by that, but she takes his advice and runs away. Spidey webs Kang to the ground and beats the hell out of him. Kang pulls out his blaster, but Spidey destroys it. Kang beats Spidey to the ground and takes off his mask. Peter, who is bloodied and angry, still gets back up to fight Kang. Spidey almost manages to take Kang's bangle off, but Kang throws Spidey across New York, and Spidey doesn't get back up. Kang begins to track Kamala's location. He finally finds her and teleports towards her. Kamala is at her house crying in her mother and father's arms. Her mother asks her what's wrong. Kang enters and Kamala's dad looks into his demon eyes. Kang throws a dagger straight at Kamala's dad, killing him. Kamala gets very angry, and she manages to throw a punch at Kang. Kang laughs and says she is nothing without her bangle. She begins to remember what Peter said. If you're nothing without this suit, then you shouldn't have it. She punches Kang once again, but this time her powers are stronger. Kang is thrown to the ground and is confused. Kamala has awakened her mutant powers. Her arms and legs begin to stretch out, and she fights Kang. She puts up a good battle, but Kang wins once again. Kang says it makes sense now on why he didn't notice the bangle in the first place. Her bangle had connected with her mutant powers, which changed the structure of the bangle. Kamala is about to be killed until American Chavez, She-Hulk, and War Machine enter the battle. Kamala points to Kang's machine in the air and says they need to destroy it. She-Hulk jumps up in the air and attempts to punch it, but the machine is unbreakable. War Machine fights Kang, but Kang blasts Rhodey away. She-Hulk does some damage on Kang, but Kang defeats her. Chavez gets angry and throws Kang into another universe in order to buy them some time. Kamala is stressing out and saddened by her father's death. Kang's machine will unleash in 10 minutes. Kamala tries to grab it, but it won't break. Chavez says she has one last idea. Chavez takes a deep breath and says to herself that she hopes she's not unleashing a monster. She opens up a portal to Wanda Maximoff, aka the Scarlet Witch. Wanda is living by herself in a cabin. Wanda is very shocked by Chavez and says she's truly sorry for everything. Chavez says she needs her help and that she forgives her for everything. We cut back to Kang, who is now in a different universe. His technology is damaged, and he needs to get back to 616 to finish his mission. He teleports right into the Baxter building to try and find something to fix his technology as he recognizes the building. Luckily for him, it's night out and no one is in the Baxter building. He begins to fix his technology and is about to leave this universe until Chris Evans' Human Torch is revealed, and he smiles right at Kang. We cut back to Earth, 616, and Miss Marvel and the rest of the heroes with her are freaking out because the machine's countdown has expired. Spidey says it's okay and that Kang's machine must have failed because clearly they are still existing. Eventually, Chavez enters back in New York and points to the machine. Wanda sees it and obliterates it with her powers. Kamala says Kang will be back soon and that they need to reunite with the rest of the Avengers. Chavez opens a portal back to London while Wanda, Kamala, Spidey, Rhodey, and She-Hulk follow her. We cut back to Kang and Human Torch fighting. Kang absorbs Johnny's fire powers and he takes it away. Kang blasts Johnny in the chest, killing him, and he leaves to go back to 616. He goes to New York and becomes angry as he takes a look at his destroyed machine. Kang teleports back to London and sees that the Avengers are ready to fight him once again. Kang and Scarlet Witch lock eyes. The two battle it out with pure magic. Kang tries to trap her in another universe but fails. Kang tells her to back off. Wanda manages to blast Kang's hand open. Kang, who is now furious, manages to make a sharp energy projectile using the bangle. He then throws it right at Wanda. Kate Bishop shoots her arrow right at the projectile, which stops it from killing Wanda. Kate then hits Kang right in the face with an arrow. She even uses an arrow to strap Kang to the ground. She-Hulk takes advantage of this and goes full Hulk on him. War Machine, who now wields a sword, strikes Kang right in the chest. Kang screams and makes a huge blast, blowing everyone away in the process. A very bloodied and battle-damaged Kang takes one last stand and gets up. He asks if anyone would like to say anything before they are completely erased from the timeline. Bucky gets up and stares straight at Kang. "I'm not afraid of you," Buck says. Scott tells Kate that he needs her to shoot an arrow directly at Kang so that way he can get in Kang's armor and disable it. Kate nods while Scott shrinkens and hops on her arrow. Kang's bangle is charged up and he shoots it directly at Bucky. Kate shoots her arrow and Scott successfully lands on Kang's armor. He manages to disable Kang's armor similar to what he did with Kang when he fought his Kang in the quantum realm. Kang laughs and says, "Disable my suit all you want. I still have the bangle." Spidey looks at the bangle and says, "Pi radius times pi," as he shoots his webs right at it, and the bangle latches off of Kang. Spidey's pull was so strong that it knocked Kang to the ground. Wanda then proceeds to take the bangle and destroys it. Loki then prunes Kang to dust using a TVA stick. All the Avengers look at each other proudly. It took a while, but they finally managed to defeat Kang. Sam and Yelena get up and notice that Bucky got stabbed by Kang's projectile. They immediately care to Bucky, but they know it's too late. Bucky looks at Yelena and Sam and says this is the end of the line. Bucky dies and Yelena begins to cry. Sam stands there in shock as his best friend has just died. Sylvie says we aren't done yet and she prunes herself. The Avengers are confused and look at Loki for answers. We have to destroy the void before Kang gets out, Loki says. Couldn't he have just teleported out of it already? Daredevil says. Loki says to leave this to him. We cut to the void where we see a very angry Kang. He tries to get his technology up and running, but it's out of power once again. He sees a blade on the ground and is about to off himself until he sees Ravonna in the distance. Ravonna tells him that she's disappointed in him. Kang drops to his knees and asks how she's alive. Ravonna stares at him in disappointment. Kang then says his famous line from the comics, Ravonna, have I gained your love only to have lost it? Sylvie, who is posing as Ravonna, breaks the illusion and stabs Kang. Kang falls to the ground and looks at Sylvie. See you soon, Kang says as he shuts his eyes and takes one last glance at the sky. Sylvie then proceeds to take out her pruning stick. Loki enters through a TVA door and tells her that they can go home now and to just not worry about destroying the void. Sylvie says she needs to prune it no matter what so that no other timelines can ever be destroyed again. Loki says it's not necessary at this point and that they can worry about it later. Sylvie takes a look at Loki and says, I started this mess and so now I'm going to end it. Plus, I don't have a home. I love you, Loki, and thank you for everything. Sylvie says this and kisses him as she pushes him through a TVA door. She takes one last look at the deceased Kang and prunes the void. This kills her in the process. We cut back to 616 where all the Avengers are kneeling for Bucky. Loki takes a look at them and tells them that they won. The Avengers all look at each other in satisfaction. All is great and everything is back to normal. The last shot of the film is of Doctor Strange, who has a nervous look on his face. End credit. We open up to Doctor Strange messing with a new version of the Darkhold. Strange tells the Darkhold that Kang's plan failed and that he was defeated. He then begs the Darkhold for a second chance to fix everything. The Darkhold says that Strange is powerful and that he will be a useful ally in his plan. Strange thanks him and the Darkhold tells him to go kill any Avengers he can in the meantime. Strange says he can't do this by himself. The Darkhold doesn't say anything else. Strange nods his head and accepts the Darkhold's terms. Out of nowhere, Scar blasts through the Sanctum Sanctorum's glass and yells at Strange to bring his father back. Strange says he didn't do anything to Hulk. Scar calls bullshit and he charges at Strange. The two battle it out, but Strange ultimately wins. Strange kills Scar and he says to himself, that's one Avenger down. He then notices Wong in the distance. Wong is confused and he looks at Strange in a frightful way. Strange notices Wong and says, damn it Wong, I thought you were at your karaoke club. He then proceeds to blast Wong into a building. To be continued in Avengers Secret Wars. Overall, I hope everyone enjoyed my version of Avengers the Kang Dynasty. I'm really excited to share with you guys what's next, and if you don't mind, please subscribe as this is my first video and I could really use the support. Go ahead and tell me in the comments about what you thought about this video because I'm really interested to see everyone's critiques, if you have any. I assume you do. I think I really should have killed off a bigger character, but I couldn't find a justifiable way to do it. I originally had Thor killed off at one point, but it just didn't work. Although there was a lot of deaths, to say the least. In total, I killed off 11 characters, that being Nick Fury, Utu the Watcher, Immortus, Scarlet Centurion, Rama Tut, Kang, Makari, Love, Winter Soldier, Scar, and Sylvie. But yeah, once again, thank you, and I hope I see you tune in again.